Dude, I was in a really shit place when I got out of the military, and alcohol kind of consumed me. And the weird thing is I don't have an addiction. I've never been to AA. I just drank a lot.
Yeah.
And then it got to a point where it was like interfering with like making money. I was taking time off just to be hungover. I was like, nope, I ain't doing that no more. So throughout the years, dude, it's like as soon as like I'll be straight and won't drink for 9-10 months, and then business will really start to ramp up, and I'll get to that next level. And I'll just get so overwhelmed, and it kind of turned into a pattern where I started using alcohol as a way to de-stress.
Yeah, I do that right
and
now.
And it's like
right at this very second.
Yeah, and I've been there so many times that I realize that it actually, when I'm scaling, if I stay sober, it scales easier.
Yeah.
So I'm like, all right. And now I love whiskey and cigars. It's one of my favorite things.
Yeah, mine too.
But if I keep too much really nice whiskey in the house, it's a problem.
Yeah, and so that's like, I think that's a challenge for, how young are you?
I'm 37.
37?
Yeah.
I'm 33.
Yeah.
And so I have that challenge for a while, but like at the end of the day, my de-stress is normally a cigar first thing in the morning at my zoo, especially in the summertime, because I love that shit. And then
cigar with coffee is actually really good.
Oh, bro.
Yeah.
Hazelnut latte.
Yeah.
Ooh, with a good cigar.
Right.
I love it. Yeah, Brad got me stuck on that. And so, and then you know what? So coffee with my cigar in the morning, and then this is terrible, ruined me, and has now ruined my wife and my daughter Isabella. But when you have a really thick cut steak, you dip it in a little bit of sour cream and steak sauce. Oh my God.
With whiskey.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Oh my God. It's so good. Listen. Don't do it. Don't even try it. Don't even try it. Like if you kind of like sour cream and steak,
we're kind of foodies.
Sauce,
I always tell people like the only reason I'm fit is we work out is because I work out so I can eat.
Yeah. Oh man, dude, we go to Fleming's. We'll get like a $300 steak, and we'll dip it in sour cream and steak. Oh, dude,
people are like, "What are you doing?"
No, Brad's been doing it there at Fleming's forever.
Really?
So they were just like, "We'll bring this sour cream." Like they're not even offended anymore.
Yeah.
But it's so good.
So Brad will be here in July. I think we're gonna hit my friend, Zach Babcock, his event.
Oh, yeah.
He does like Alpha Dog Pound. He started as like a podcasting company, and now he's kind of shifting to like doing events. So Brad's speaking there. I think Tony Waitley and a couple other guys, but we're gonna go just to attend. I spoke at his last year, and I think I gave too much of a deep, mind-blowing speech that people weren't ready for it. Like literally talking about just everything financial, but also the corporation of America and what we really are, which is a business.
How often are you speaking?
I mean, we've done a couple. I need to speak more.
Yeah, so it's like a muscle. You got it, because my first like 5 were like finding my way on stage.
My first one was actually pretty good because I just talk all the time anyway, and I don't have that whole weird stage fright thing. It's more about what you said earlier, like crafting the message and making it chronologically sound. So I am good at talking. Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, he got you. He had right?
I had some kind of line. Yeah.
Well, and so that's why I was gonna to caveat back to the Scotch thing. It's like at the end of the day, dude. Like I don't. If I don't have a Scotch, I snack, which is terrible at night, like jerky, cheese, crackers. But if I have a glass of Scotch, and what I'll do is I'll put like 2 or 3 squirts of CBD oil in there.
Okay.
Oh, dude, I'll take a nap. I'll be.
So drinking and then having CBD won't make you want to eat everything in sight?
No, man, it makes me I'll have normally 1.5 glasses, and then I wake up and I'm so pissed that I wasted a half a glass of $85 Scotch. So. Yeah, I mean, that's what sucks more than anything. But no, so my Scotch bill a month's probably $3,000.
Really?
Yeah, so like I drank Scotch like every night, and
but you're obviously fit, so you're working it off, and really.
Yeah, I have.
Yeah, but how much does that farm run you like?
Yeah, it does a lot. Well, what happened is this last month I just got soft. Like I can physically tell I'm soft right now.
Yeah.
And I wanted to be because dude, if I go 3 solid months of killing it, I get jacked, bro.
Yeah.
And I just take creatine and fucking nothing. I don't do no TRT or no shit like that. Just some creatine, eat healthy, eat right. Like I don't do any bread. I haven't been doing any bread for a while now. I eat a lot. Like I'm damn near like this close to the carnivore diet.
Yeah.
Other than eggs with my breakfast and then like asparagus with my dinner or something. Like I'm real close to the carnivore diet.
Right.
My personal trainer left for Hawaii for a month. After we got back from a 3-week run.
Damn, he must be doing well for a personal trainer.
Well, he used to be an NFL player, and then he married a very wealthy young lady, in our area, and it wasn't for the money by any means. And he has a good setup. So so I pay $600 a month for the gym, and he kicks my balls in. But so I was gone 3 weeks. He was gone a month, and now I'm gone another week and a half. So he called me the other day. He's like, "How fat are you?" And I was just like, "Well."
Okay, so he's a good trainer.
Yeah, he was a great trainer.
Yeah.
And so he sends me like a diet. I said, "Listen, dude, I'm 225 right now." I said, "But I'm not 225 like I'm normally 225." I said, "I'm like a really, really soft 225. Like my shirts don't fit the same." Like, and so he was just like, "We'll get it back." I was like, "I know we will." So, but that consistency of going to the gym is such a mental mind release in the morning.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I normally work out every day. Jordan's like crazy. He goes in at 5 a.m. Fuck that. but I'm there every day at 7. And
that's good.
Yeah, right. I go there at 7 and I'm done by 8, and then I'm to my office by 9.
Yeah.
And then from there, dude, we hit the ground running. And then what I love about working out in the morning is if I want to have a club soda and Grey Goose at lunch, I don't feel bad about it.
Yeah.
No, and then like the zoo is, it's super fucking stressful. Between
how do you manage all that?
PETA, employees.
So you have a lot of employees there?
Yeah, well now what we're doing is we're redefining our team, which is phenomenal, because our old videographer, he did well, but he doesn't have, like, Joe's got fucking mad skill, which allows us to up our game on social media. Jordan is already a multi-millionaire that owns multiple AFC homes. Like, what are you pushing? You're pushing 100 beds is your goal this year? 100 beds? So he's getting ready to buy another one. Cool. And we just been, in our area, dude, when you're really successful and really driven, you're a fucking outcast. And so Jordan and I, like...
That's kind of how it is here,
dude,
too.
I was a fucking huge outcast. Because it's like, we'll do 200-300 a month, every month consistently, but we'll also do 280 a month out.
Right.
And so it's like, well, where does all that go? Well, I don't like to look at it.
Yeah.
Because I don't give a fuck where it goes. I just spent $70,000 on hyenas and sloths.
Yeah.
Right? And so, in the last 30 days. Now it's like, let's monetize this. So he just pushed me to build something I needed anyways to train.
Right.
So now we have an entry. We have a $2,500 entry level, which we'll do payments on. $5,000, $10,000, and then from there it goes 25.
To just use the
$50
platform.
to $100,000.
Okay.
Well, it depends on where you come in.
Right.
Because now what's happening is we have so much lead flow coming in that, like, I can take an agent that wants to learn it, bring them in my wheelhouse, my day-to-day, and train them up, and then they're writing underneath me. Because what I don't have, and my big faulty, is I'm going to do $50 million in premium this year. That's awesome, except if I stop tomorrow morning, my money's gone. I have no passive income.
Yeah.
So when
you're the linchpin too.
Right.
Like, it all revolves around your knowledge, which is kind of how we are.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And
which is a good and bad thing.
It's a good and bad thing, absolutely. But it's a lot, man. But the thing is what I was talking about a little bit before, is like infrastructure, right? So like Jordan is creating a massive amount of infrastructure in our thing. Joe's content, like, he's getting content of all of it. We're telling a story now. JC, anyway, so JC does a lot of our customer service rep stuff. Then I have a compliance, suitability, and underwriting team.
Yeah. And
so they're all phenomenal. I have a creative design team now, which is amazing. We have website builders now, all on staff. And then we run 6 full-time at the rescue. My wife is like retired from insurance, so she's like done. You know what I mean? She got, I think her banner year, she did like 600,000 in commission in 1 year, but hers is renewable.
Yeah.
So like if she leaves, no, all Med Sup.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
Yeah, all Med Sup. So like she stepped back. She wrote Life last year, or the year before, and when we wrote Life, I think she did like another 200 or 300,000 on top of her renewals. And that MAPD stuff, she'll service it every MAPD or every AEP. It's lifetime renewable.
Right.
So like her book's solid, and we keep all of our finances together. But the problem is when we I'm building a new Reese McCack enclosure. It's going to cost me like $30,000. She uses Generations as a sponsorship, and then April's money just stays over here. So I'm like, April, dude, pay for your own fucking shit. Like, Generations don't have to pay for everything.
This is what I always teach my guys, and you probably teach people this too. Don't whale hunt.
Yeah.
If you got 2 or 3 really big cases, cool, but you need to be working a huge pipeline to keep small money coming in, because if you're just trying to chase the $40,000 commission for 2 months and then nothing else pans out, and then they go somewhere else, or they decide, you know what, I'm just going to leave this money here, you're screwed.
As you start to build out they call it your POI score, which your person of interest score, and you start doing your brand, you almost should go through either Rob Luna's, because Rob Luna does the same thing. So Rob Luna does kind of person of interest, but for financial professionals.
Right.
Coach does it for everyone. And Coach is fucking phenomenally good at hearing you talk and putting what you do in a very quick, like moving millions in minutes is my thing. And I didn't even know it was my thing. Coach is like, what'd you say you do? And I like go over it again, and he's like, and when do you do it? And how do you do it?
Yeah, so he just
like,
reframes.
Yeah, so he's like, so you're telling me that you're able to meet a client, gain their trust quickly, and move millions of dollars in a matter of under an hour. Yeah, he goes, so you're moving millions in minutes. How powerful is that?
Yeah.
You can apply that to any industry. You know, you can go to real estate agents. You can go to, it doesn't matter. You can apply it. And I'm like, damn, dude, that's fire. So then it took me another 6 months to hone the message. But learning that, like Coach says, what's your skill? What is your like core skill? And I had to work on this for a while, but it's like my ability to talk with people in a short matter of time, understand where they're coming from, find a solution to it. But the key is getting them excited about their future to take action on emotion right now. And so it's like, how do you break that down into I sell annuities? Right? Well, so you change it up. It's just, it's good. Dude, I think I could get you in that course for free.
Merging a real business online is tricky, but once you really get it down, it's fascinating because it's like you can just say little things and it'll resonate with people, and they're like, oh, like you said, credibility. I mean, geez, my most recent video, quote unquote, that went viral, my reel, wasn't even one I was putting any effort into. I legitimately had just got home from the gym. I had a tank top on, and I did a little video about you know, the digital currency stuff, and it just hit. And I got almost 1 million views, and I was, you know, you had the haters.
Platform?
Instagram, reel on Instagram. And I mean, I think I picked up overnight, like, well, it's trickling in over a couple of weeks, but 15,000, 12,000 followers.
Yeah.
And everybody's like, oh, you bought your followers. I'm like, no, I just kept doing things, and then I all of a sudden it hit.
And so what we're doing too is, because we have the cars, the zoo, the insurance, and the speaking. Right. Which is kind of nice because I get like a vast majority. I just had some fucking pit bull dude that has like 1 million followers share our hyena one.
Oh, wow.
And that hyena one, dude, fucking exploded after he shared it. Yeah. And he just made a joke, look at our new pit bulls we got in, and they're like, our hyenas, and he tagged me in it, you know what I mean? And but what we're doing now is anyone that we feel is good, which we're running into issues, but we're getting better, is we're putting $100 to $200 in a 24-hour span behind every one of them. And so you see like, all right, this one got 5,000 likes, this one got 30,000 likes. Right. Because you put $100 behind it. Yep. Well, let's put $100 behind all of them.
Yeah, I've been doing that. I've been boosting some stuff.
Yeah, I boost the shit out of it now.
Yep.
And so on TikTok, where like he handles the TikTok. So if you see some dumbass TikTok, he posted one the other day. I was like, Joe, I fucking hate it. I look fat as fuck in the whole video, dude. Like just like my hair is not done. Like I'm in a sweater, dude. I'm like smoking a cigar at like 7 in the morning.
Well, what's funny is like
why'd you post that?
Most people. Well, it's content, and most people resonate with. I've actually gotten more overwhelming like positive responses from. Not just sharing just business all the time. Yeah. People are like, no, we love when you share like, you know, your guys' property you're building and all these other things. Not just, hey, this is what I do for a living. And you're always gonna have people critiquing.
You're more relatable.
Yeah. Yep. What I've learned about the internet in the last, I would say 3 weeks from having a viral video is that it exposes you to tons of people, and there's a lot of miserable people out there. Oh, you handle money and you're wearing a tank top? I was like, wait a second, so do I need to walk around in a 3-piece suit all of the time, I guess? Wow, I didn't know that. Thank you for that memo, Joe with 36 followers.
Right, yeah, right, that's it.
And no profile picture, or it's a cat.
But it's all real, you go through it, you know what I mean? You go through it, you grow through it, you know, whatever the case
Well, we're experiencing real stuff. I mean, this week we had a guy reach out. He messages me on Instagram basically saying I was a fraud and all this stuff. I was like, what makes you say that? Well, your video was blah, blah. Okay, whatever. Blocked the guy. Before I blocked him, he went to my page, looked her up, went over to her Facebook, and literally started sending her messages. And when she's like, hey, you need help, like, I don't know who you are or what you're talking about. And before, you're gonna end up in a ditch. He literally made a death threat. All because he was triggered over a video I made, looked up my significant other, and then makes a death threat. Like, it's crazy. Yeah, he was like, you guys got a shit Jaguar. I was like, that's a $80,000 car, bro.
I like the Jag.
I love it.
Yeah, I like the Jag.
I love my Jag. Yeah.
Anyways, there's always gonna be haters.
When we pulled up the escalator, I was like, we didn't wash it or nothing.
So what have you got people that take from you, learn from you, leave, try and steal your ideas or whatever you do, come back 3 years later because it didn't work and they want to be under you again? You take them back?
Yeah.
Do you?
Yeah, it's all money, dude. It's all money.
Yeah.
So
It's good to know for the future.
Yeah, it's just all money. It depends on like.
Because Justin Corpus is going to come knocking on our door again.
I don't know if I think he has too much money.
Yeah,
I don't
probably.
think
Yeah.
he's too, like...
The other thing is we haven't had anybody that's left that's like some massive producer.
Yeah.
The people that leave and try to steal shit, they're always like making
That's how it is.
minimum.
That's why we don't
Yeah.
do contracts.
Yeah.
Because agents are a pain in the fucking ass, dude. Like everyone that like.
I don't know how we would pull off the no contract thing in our industry though, in our segment. I mean,
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, you'd have to sit down and figure it out.
Nah, I don't think it'd be
But,
possible.
Yeah, dude, you'd have to figure it out. But that's
It'd be a hell of a lot simpler. We'd have to contract people. They could just send us referrals, but
Yeah.
you can't really 1090. It's hard. Like if you don't have any license, like you'd have to have a life insurance license, but then
well, that's all we make you have. You have
Yeah.
to have a life license for us to do it.
yeah,
And then if you don't, you can't. So if you don't have a life license, and this is a big trust thing, but if you don't have a life license, you can't know what I moved. You can't know the assets. You can't know what I put them
Yeah.
in.
You just get
can't
your
know
check.
the commission,
Yeah.
and you get a marketing check.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, because it's got to be 1099 marketing money. It can't be
it's a marketing,
insurance
it's
commission.
straight marketing.
But it's so
I
easy.
need money to advance time.
Right.
Money is just a tool. If I have money in my bank account, it's because I'm not finding ways to advance my time, and I need to spend it as fast as I can.
Yeah.
And so you know what I mean? Like, we'll blow money,
Yeah.
money, and we'll try stuff, and if it doesn't work, then we move on. Or if we like stuff about it, we'll take the aspects that we like and we'll integrate it into our in-house system.
Right.
And so eventually, I'll be able to literally go to an event and be like, hey, dude, I have a 25 or 50 and a $100,000 buy-in. It gets you 3%, 5%, or 6.5% in commission. You split all the commission with us or with the agents. We override, and then we give you hot leads 24/7, 365. And as much as you can write, we'll work with your schedule. You block your time off. But if you want appointments set, we'll preset your appointments. So now I have presetters in the office too. And so all I'm doing is I'm taking 35% of my own money, putting it in index strategies that are uncapped right now,
Right.
with outrageous participations with companies with good rate integrity. And so the rest of my money, I can go and get as aggressive as I want.
Right.
Well, you just vice versa that with someone that's 65, we're taking a portion of their estate.
Yeah, time horizon.
But we're also letting them have 35% to play in the market and try to get those high yields. And so every 5 to 10 years, you have to be making those adjustments.
Yep.
And the problem is these Edward Jones advisors or whatever you want to go off. I don't like Edward Jones. So
They don't ever adjust it. Yeah.
They don't adjust it because it will mess with their return, right?
Yeah.
They'll build a book of business. They'll get
Or their fee
let's just
structure.
say- yeah. Well, their fee structure. They'll build a book. Let's say they have $250 million. They're living fat. They're loving life. Life's good. And if they put their money into assets that would better protect them, it would fuck with their income.
Right.
Well, that's why they're a broker, not a fucking fiduciary.
Right.
You know what I mean? And
Yep.
so, and younger me in my career, yeah, bro, I would have wrote every dollar if you let me in an annuity. Every dollar, because that's what I did.
Yeah.
But like now, it's like we're so financially set. It's like just do the absolute best thing for the people that you get in front of,
Yeah.
and work with the advisor they're working with.
Yep.
Right. So I've called up an advisor before, Merrill Lynch advisor. Guy hates me. His name's John. John. But anyways,
All those guys hate us.
Well, they hate us, and I just said, listen, dude, he's moving the money either way.
Right.
Well, my proposal is that you manage this money here. I'll take this money here. You're not offering these indexes. Merrill Lynch doesn't even offer them. Let me take this. It creates a better sound for him. We'll work in a partnership for the client. And the advisor was like, sure, fuck it.
Yeah.
Like, I guess, you know what I mean? And like,
Yeah.
I can see where it's good for him. The market's crazy. And then now you know that indexes are getting sexy. And I say index strategies, but they're index annuities. You know that they're getting sexy because now every bank's offering them.
Yep.
Advisors are offering them. More advisors than ever.
And how do you
offering
turn
them.
down my client?
Yeah.
He's like, bro, I had never heard of this. 20% to move my money? This is awesome.
And
like,
uncapped.
You
Uncapped
created a
rate of
raving
return.
fan out of him.
Yeah.
And
Well,
then, you know.
Oh, I've talked to him a bunch since then.
Yeah.
He talked to me the other day. I talked to him just like 2 weeks ago.
Mm-hmm.
And he was like, hey, can I get monthly statements? And I was like, I can send them to myself with the MVAs. I said, but if you just log into your account, it shows you the MVAs every month.
Right.
I said, but the accreditation via the strategy is biannual. So
Right.
you're only going to see that biannual strategy. And he's like, all right, well, what do you think about the real estate investing play? And I said, it's the worst time ever to do that
Yeah.
right now. Like, it's literally the worst time in the history of the fucking economy to do that.
Right.
And so,
Let's buy something right before it crashes.
right.
You want to buy it when it crashes.
Right.
Yeah.
And well, yeah, and you know, if you get into the commercial banking industry,
Oh.
what's happening right now?
Don't get me started.
Yeah, with commercial real estate, there's $4.1 trillion in that market, and we know over the next, because of just the way the timing is, we know that roughly 1/4, over $1 billion, needs to be remortgaged in the next 24 months.
Yep.
And so people that had these low 2% rates have to remortgage their business at 6-7%. And you know, Rob Luna is one of the first ones that came out and said the commercial real estate industry is going to crash.
Yep.
Commercial real estate used to be a grade A asset. It's not even a grade A asset anymore.
They're freaking out, dude. When we left the office space I had, these guys were desperate, and you could tell because they know that there's after COVID, it's like they're at like half capacity.
Yeah,
they're freaking out.
The nationwide, I think we're at 28% vacancy right now, which is insane.
Yeah.
10,000 followers on just my fan page, which is nice, and I got like 7,000 on regular social media. My Instagram, my TikTok, we're doing all organic. Other than boosting it, we're doing it all organic. We're not buying fucking things, and that's growing well. It's growing good, and so we're just gonna let it grow organically. And then we just started doing YouTube Shorts, which
we need to get into that.
We're getting a lot more traction in that, and then now our focus is, all right. So like now let's get on more podcasts. Work on more podcasts, and so
that's a big one. Wes Watson was like, dude, you got to get on podcasts.
Yeah, and so, but finding the right ones too.
Yeah.
Because I was on one, dude, where an advisor invited me on to talk about index strategies and tried to light me up on his podcast.
Or you get people that are like, they just started it 2 weeks ago, and they're like, I got 1,200 views. Can you be on my podcast? I'm like, no, sorry. So Andy has that rule. He's like, if you have 100 episodes of your own podcast, I will consider going on yours. 100 episodes. So.
Well, and it all depends what is success, because like we had Paradigm Shift for a long time. We stopped doing it because I got too busy, but we would average 100 live viewers. So we'd have 100 to 200 live viewers, and then we would average 2,000 to 3,000 views. And to me, that was a successful podcast. Right. And so it all, like now we'll post a TikTok, we'll get 50,000 views, 5,000 likes, and I'm like, damn. Like, what? That's crazy to me. This is my goal. This is like what I love to do, and our passion is my wife's dream turned into this fucking monster at this point.
But I funded it because
of insurance, right? And so it's like everything's been funded from insurance. So do something that you don't love, become an expert in it. So now I'm only an expert in index strategies. Like if you ask me about, like I run into your guys a lot, infinite banking, and I'm like, okay, great. Do what you're doing with that. Let me know what movable money I can work with.
Right.
I don't want to mess up the plan, but at the same time, it's like, depending on the age and the amount of money they have.
Listen, there's so much money out there, and I always tell people, listen, you've got active income, which people have businesses, like you're talking about like blowing money, right? Imagine stopping that money off somewhere where you can earn interest on it, and then as you spend it, it's still a leverageable asset that you can loan against. So you're creating an asset and capturing all that interest. So $500,000, $600,000, $700,000 later, you earn money on that money, even if you spend it.
Well, yeah, but it just depends on how much money do you have in time, right?
Sure.
So because Sarah sent me over an illustration on one of the clients they were doing, and I was like, Sarah, I wish you guys the best, like have fun. And then I got on the phone, I'm like, I would never put them in that.
Right.
Because it like makes no fucking sense for their age and the amount of money they have.
Right. So there's got to be active income. That's what we use the infinite banking stuff for. People that just have some money in savings, whatever. People that have a 401k. Listen, that needs to go into an annuity.
Well, or even the case where someone says, "Hey, I'm 35 years old. I'm making $100,000 a year, and I can put literally every single month $2,000 to $3,000 a month away." That's an IUL all day long. Not infinite bank.
No.
Right. And so that's where it's like, or I have a lump sum of 50 or 100 grand. That Chris guy or whatever, I don't even know his name now.
Chris Noggle.
The guy that was working with Corpus.
Oh, Chris Hernandez,
Hernandez.
Yeah.
He was just like, we're gonna put 100 grand in infinite banking. And I was like, what? Send me that illustration. I just want to see it.
Right.
And I was like, well, you do whatever you want.
Yeah.
And I look at the illustration, I'm like, I wouldn't do that.
Right.
Not 100 grand.
It's not meant for a place for money to sit and stay. It's meant for money to move in and out and in and out.
Right.
Yeah. That's
but
banking.
I stay in my fucking lane because like I don't want to overcomplicate it, and I don't want to like. As long as you're like, as long as you know what you're doing, the client's in a good situation on it.
There's plenty of money out there that if you do it right. So here's the real big picture strategy. Our strategy is this: we lead with the number one problem people have, tax problems. So we figure out how to save them 40% of their entire net worth every single year as they build and they grow. Right? You save them 40%, and now all the assets they have that are sitting that could be moved, annuities, index strategies, and then the money that you saved on the taxes, you put that into a banking policy, and that creates more money. There's so many different ways you can do this thing. It's just, it comes down to like thinking outside the box, because most people do what? Money in, money out, money in, money out. And then after 10, 12 years being in the workforce, Oh, I got a little bit extra. Oh, I got a 401k.
He asked what are my biggest recommendations are once you start getting into PR. I said go live. Because I've had probably 10 news networks where I went recorded, and they chop it up, and my scenario is way different than what I painted live.
Yeah.
And so now I'll only do live. I won't do recorded, and then you go chop it up, and you make up your fucking story.
Yeah, because you could chop shit together and make it sound like...
I did one on the banks failing, and dude, they made it sound like the fucking world was falling down.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, and so it's just like, it's not far from it.
Right.
You know what I mean? But like, that's not
Yeah, but you don't want to be labeled the guy that's like doomsday, you know, like, oh, because that's what happens in our industry all the time, whether it's annuities, insurance, whatever. Oh my God, you're talking about all these negative things. You're just fear-mongering to try and make money. I'm like, but if there's a lot of bad shit happening, am I supposed to not talk about it?
Yeah, but the other flip side, the guy you tagged me in the other day, I was just like, annuities are the worst thing ever. And then you look into him, he's doing the opposite.
Yeah.
You know, he's doing literally the opposite for his own financial benefit, which I guarantee you he's not a fucking RIA, because you would never be able to do that if you're an RIA.
He's nothing. He's just a dude that holds like money events.
Yeah.
I'm like, why who's vetting these people?
Fuck
like,
that dude. Fuck that dude. So here's the problem, is like, I'm a boozy bitch, dude. I don't even mean to be.
Yeah.
Just because I was broke my whole life and never had much,
Yeah.
it's like, if something's expensive and it's the most expensive thing
You're like, I want that just because?
Like, I'll buy it. And so like, Duckhorn was that thing one time, and it was like, damn, this is actually really good. That's my wife says that I like Lafroy 10 year because it's $60 a bottle, and it's my daily drinker, not even like an expensive one.
Right.
I say that it's really peaty, and I like it that it's peaty. My wife just says I'm a boozy bitch, and so I don't, you know what I mean? Again, I don't know, right? And it could, I very easily could be.
Yeah.
But whatever. It is what it is.
So if you like the best of the best with everything, just because it's expensive, I'm fully expecting to see next week you trade the Lamborghini for like a Zonda or something. Let's go ahead. Let's drop $3 million on a sports car. And then the $3 million car sits in the garage and it just collects dust.
The problem is the cars have never been a passion. Right? So like,
okay.
We've had a Viper, which was really like American muscle.
Oh, yeah.
Viper.
Yeah.
The Lamborghini was like a childhood goal.
Yeah.
But it's like, now it's like morphed into like, what are you passionate about? What am I passionate about cars?
Right.
I just really like my car.
Right.
Now I'm just like, the animals are like a very...
yeah, that's cool.
The animals aren't, but so now it's touchy though, because we started with rescue rehome surrenders.
Right.
We still get a phenomenal amount of rescue rehome surrenders, but now we're moving into purchases. And so, and purchase, they require, to build a facility to adequately and then additional money. So like I said the other day, like literally in the last 30 days, we spent $70,000. And I'm probably actually shy on the real number. And Jordan would tell me if I let him break down the QuickBooks on it, but I don't want to see it, right? And so now it's just like, hey, what's the next step? Well, the next step is, we know that we want a giraffe in the next 2 years. And it's just like...
That's a little bit cooler than sports cars. It is.
And we love it more too, right? So like, we love it more too, and you get to hang out with them. You know what sucks about a giraffe is, a giraffe's lifespan is only in captivity 18 to 25 years.
Oh, wow.
You know why, though? They have the highest blood pressure out of any animal on the planet, because their necks are so long. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
I get along great with them. I have high blood pressure. So I don't know if we've talked about this before, but when did you get into insurance?
2011. Got out of the military. Left the military. Had no idea what I wanted to do at all. And I was like, well, how can I make money without going back to school? Because I did the school thing for like 6 months. Yeah. Sat in class with a bunch of people that were like 8 years younger than me, and I'm like, this is weird, and I'm not passionate about anything. I don't know what I want to do, So 2011, got out. 2012, I really hit the ground running with health insurance stuff. And I did my own thing for like probably 3 years, and then I finally found Crivolo. And
I always forget that. Because you guys are like, my larger groups, I would say, he's got a really large group, and your group is large, but your group is more active than his group.
Right.
And so I forget that you guys always have, because I talk about, like, DK's team, like, this month, they're killing it. They're whooping your guys' ass. They got 10 times more agents.
Right.
And he's, I was like, DK? And he's like, yeah, I know. David Hutchinson.
Yeah, he's like, who's this DK guy? You mean David? Yeah.
Yeah, and so, but I always forget that. It's funny. It's kind of small world deal.
Yeah, and he's a great guy. He's honestly why I stayed in the industry. Because I just I hit all the records, not to sound like arrogant at all, but I hit all the records in that company, and there's only like 1 or 2 other people that did like higher numbers than me, but they all had agencies. Yeah. People were like, how many people you got on your team? I was like, what team? It's just me. So I was throwing up the numbers on the leaderboard, the same numbers as some of these agencies were. And you know how the stick is with health insurance. It's just like any other thing. You recruit a lot of people, you teach them the products, and then they go calling for open enrollment, and they just bring in a lot of money for 3 months, and then the rest of the year it's kind of feast or famine. But if you're making 80, 100 grand a year in health insurance, like you're doing okay.
Yeah. Especially if you're coming from something that was fucking 30, 40 grand a year.
Yes.
50, 60 grand a year.
Yeah, and you just, didn't like your job. Because it was like, dude, I made money sitting on my couch, like just on my laptop in my freaking, underwear. Like, oh, this is awesome. I'm a health insurance broker. Like, and then I linked up with a guy after that, and we did like a call center, and that was pretty profitable. So,
Let me ask you this, because I like getting into the nitty gritty.
Yeah.
So you left Goodlow just because the team itself wasn't excelling?
Just because it was like, I knew there was other things out there at that time. Right at the end of that, I learned life insurance and learned how to like start moving money around. Yeah. And when I got my first couple checks, actually one of the first biggest checks I wrote was an annuity, like $6,800 on one client. And I was like, well, that's more than my whole last month of like 35 health insurance families. Yeah. And the problem with health insurance is that you get all these people that you love taking care of them, right? And their families, and you get to know them, their kids, because you know everything about them. Like, oh, my kid has this, whatever. You get a call at 11 o'clock on a Friday night when you're trying to relax, and somebody's frantic because they're like, my kid's at the hospital, I need to find my cards. Like, you're the point man for them losing their cards, right? So that kind of insurance just was very like, I'm like, this isn't for me, man. It's, yeah. For sure, but I knew that Yeah, I knew that there was other things out there because I had started linking up with other people in the industry, and they're like, yeah, dude, like I got a guy that moves money and he has this life insurance brokerage, blah, blah, blah. So I started looking at that, and then I started getting good at that, just like I was at health insurance, and I was making, 3-4x what I was making easily. Yeah. And then when I grasped that and I mentored under people, I'm a quick learner, but I always look at how can I scale something better. Like I'll take the good from people I learn from, and I'll be like, how can I scale that better? Where I'm at now, it's like, I can't do all the things. Right. I can't be a trust expert, life insurance expert, home equity line of credit expert, annuity expert. Like, so then you just start partnering with people, but you get really good at teaching people like, hey, you can come do what I did and you don't have to work your shit job. Yeah. Come over here, I'll teach you how to work with people on their money, which, hey, by the way, nobody's taught about that in the first place. We're all illiterate from birth on money management, and then they don't teach it to you in the school system. So
what's the hardest part? The hardest part about that too is like finding the right people to partner with, because like hypothetically, we have a pretty great relationship, and it's growing, and it's going to get better, and it's going to be worth millions of fucking dollars, and it's already been worth good money so far. But realistically, I could have come in and just been a scumbag, right?
Oh yeah.
And thankfully, we both found each other and started rocking and rolling. But like, have you had shit partnerships like that when you were starting to build your own thing?
Oh man, can I drop names or not? There's a guy in the insurance industry. Oh my goodness, man! I will tell you, I don't really want to. I never drop names. I never drop names of anybody bad because I'm like, you know what, karma will get them. It's fine. But yeah, for sure, I had a really bad experience with a guy in the life insurance industry who kind of taught me the ropes of infinite banking and some of those like corporate key man policies. So I would start bringing clients, and I was really good at talking to people and be like, hey, I got this guy, he does this thing. You should look at this. Oh yeah, I got a tax problem. Or oh yeah, I got money sitting, I need to move it. So I start bringing them clients, and I would follow up with them, and they'd be like, oh yeah, I got the deal done like last week. I'm like, oh, okay. And I go back to him and be like, hey bro, I didn't get my cut, like my commission cut. And he's like, what are you talking about? And then he started making up all these weird stories about how the policy wasn't actually all the way finalized and all this shit. And I'm like, this is getting real fishy. Come to find out, there's probably 100 grand in commissions that like he just pocketed. And then whenever I really started figuring it out, I was like, bro, you're screwing me over here. Block, right? So could have taken legal action, but I didn't. So it is very awesome to find somebody that I'm like, hey, I trust you, I know you, I like you. And,
so like we don't have to piggyback on mine, but like we started literally without ever meeting each other.
Yeah, that's what's crazy.
Just like straight fucking phone call.
Yeah.
And I morphed into Zooms, and then almost a year or two of knowing each other, a year and a half at least. Yep. Was the first time we meet in person.
Yeah.
And I wish I was in better shape just for this, because like I feel like a
bro, both of us. She's the most in shape person in the whole room. So
I agree with that. I'm just like, man. But so it's just unique. Times have changed tremendously because that relationship that we've developed is almost unfathomable.
Yeah.
A couple of years ago, right?
Yeah.
Especially because of how shady people are.
Right.
Because even vice versa, back and forth is like, hey, if I introduce these concepts to you and give the training now, which now we have even newer versions of the training that we went over.
Right.
But how do I know you aren't going to take literally our PDF, your logo on there, and say, let's train my agents to get contracted? Because we do make an override. With some degree, you have to one, you have to have success in this industry, and two, there's a huge respect scenario. So it's like, I wouldn't want my fucking agents. You're going through it right now with this, Justin guy.
Yeah.
Where you put a lot of time and effort into it.
Dude, so much.
I put a lot of time and effort into it.
Yeah. And it's almost like they forget.
They do forget.
Yeah.
But
on purpose.
I have this training. And we get paid a lot. The last time I did this training, it was like $35,000 just to do it. It's a one-day training. It's called the Life Cycle of an Agent. We've been doing this so long. I'm going into my 16th year, and we literally take an agent from day one to a 3-year marker, and we can tell you everywhere that they're going to hiccup. Via 30 days, 90 days, 180.
That's actually
everywhere.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's amazing training, and it's so like the problem is there's. Look at the disc, right? There's 5 different traits of human personality. You do the colors. There's 5 different traits, or 5 different colors, 4 different colors, whatever. And so like via the rule of large numbers is you're only going to run into these personalities so many times. And so what we did is we built the training off it.
Right.
So as people are doing things, there's red flags being ticked. And you and I personally talked when I was getting a red flag call, and I reach out to you. I think the only thing in that scenario that we could have done differently is, I think what happened, and this is just, we're going off a little side here, but we addressed it to that person quickly.
Yeah.
And I don't think we should have. But I think you should have let it play out a little more to see how it was going to work.
Yeah.
Because that person felt instantly defensive as soon as we talked to them. And I wish it would have played out a little bit differently, because hypothetically you could have changed a couple of things.
Yeah.
Maybe you wouldn't have changed fucking nothing, right? But people's human reaction is like so knee-jerky, especially if you don't know their situation. You don't know if he's...
Well, I mean, everybody leads with emotion. Everybody.
But
for the most part.
Anyone that I know that isn't financially comfortable are way more knee-jerky.
Yep.
They're way more emotionally driven.
Yep.
And we have something called long-term decision on short-term emotion. It feels good now, so I'll fuck myself in 15 years because right now it seems like the right choice.
Yep.
Instead of fighting through what's fucking challenging or talking and communicating, which is literally ridiculous. We're in sales and we're educating clients, and your problem is you're not communicating. And then you make a decision that's literally going to drastically impact your life.
Yep.
And so... it's just a scenario that 1, you can grow from, 2, we can realize the red flag sooner, and 3, we can attack it from a situation where it's not like, hey, what was this call about? Maybe it's like, we just build it differently somehow.
Right. Yep.
And so I think that's a good learning tool, because who knows, that guy could have been the sky's fucking limit.
Well, yeah, I think about that all the time. I'm like, where did I go wrong as a leader? I take responsibility for people. I'm like, hey, we talk about this all the time. We'll be like, hey, what can we do better? Because if we lose people or they're not making $100,000 a year immediately, like what are we doing wrong that we can fix? Because, I mean, I will take responsibility for anybody that leaves and be like, hey, it's probably because of X, Y, Z on their end, or maybe greed, they want to go somewhere else, higher contract, whatever. And then they get there and the grass probably isn't greener, because we try to seed into our people so much that it's like, dude, the amount of value you get, like when you come to our agency, you're getting hands-on help, guidance, life coaching, advice, what to do with your money. It's not just, hey, here's some leads, go sell, and you're going to get a shit contract. So with that said, it's like the way that I'm building things is I want to partner with people like you, because I don't want to be an expert at all things. Because right now we're so busy that we can only do what we do. We stay in our lane because we're really good at it.
I heard that 100 times when I was in Vegas. It's like, I just want, I'd rather just do a piece of
Yes.
your pie and focus on what I can
Yeah.
focus on. Like in my world, I'm a really good delegator. I don't want to do a whole lot, but just I want to make sure a whole lot gets done.
Right.
But it all eventually is all on my plate
Yeah.
as a CEO. Like it's not like it's coming off of my plate. It's just making sure it's still follow through and get it done. But I don't want to do it.
Well, and I think a lot of it's people's, I always talk about this, like business is people, and people have trauma. Most people's childhood stuff seeds into their business subconsciously and they don't even know it. It's like, well, I have scarcity as a child, so now in business I need to have scarcity, because that's what I'm used to, that's what I know. So scarcity comes in the form of like, oh, well, I'm not getting enough, so I need more, or I want more of this aspect, right?
Well,
so
the problem with what you're talking about is you have to have a really, really, really high level of understanding yourself and taking accountability to have any of that work. So Tim Grover has Not Winning, what was the one?
Relentless,
yep. Right? And I love that book. And it talks about owning your dark side, like fucking letting that motherfucker eat.
Right.
And I do that in certain ways with my childhood with like, we just were Medicaid broke. We would get stuff at tax time and sell it 3 months later because we had no money. You mentioned that like when someone leaves, you try to one, see from their perspective, which is phenomenal. That's something a leader does, is seeing from their perspective of, all right, so-and-so talked shit about me as they walked out the door, but what were they going through that made them lash out at me? But the other part is you just got to realize that, and I had to realize this shit too, to have 29 killers, I had 100
people that were
not even working, right? And so it's like, how do you get... And the problem is I don't know if there's an answer. How do you not become emotionally attached to everyone that leaves and then you try to solve why they left? And the only thing that happened for me is so many people left, I just stopped fucking caring. And so it's just like, they have their own thing going. And so then the 29 people I had, I just gave them everything.
Nurture them,
I just gave them everything I had.
Well, and there's something to be said for, and I have some great mentors, and one of them said, listen, you got to meet people where they're at. So if they're giving you 30%, you match them at 30. Stop showing up at 150% for people that are giving you 30, because that's why you feel drained. And I was like, oof, I'm gonna stop doing that.
Well, that's 100% true.
And
then, but again, checking them on their shit. Like, I'm not a big fan of a certain individual. Actually, you're not a big fan of either. Jordan just fell in love with them last week because of a video, the direct video.
Oh,
who is it?
I'm not saying I love him. I just love it.
You love that video, that one.
I just really don't put up with people's bullshit.
Yeah, you'll have to look it up the video, but like he just instantly, like real time, does it probably kind of the wrong way. Just checks this motherfucker in a crowd of people, in a very professional setting, because he didn't look like he was intrigued. He wasn't taking notes. He wasn't engaged. He was rolling his eyes. And at one point in the thing, he was like, what is your fucking problem? Why are you fucking here? Did you pay to come here? Like, what is so wrong that you're not getting anything out of this? Now, the way that it was done, I personally believe that, like, I could have went downstairs and said, hey, bro, what's up? I noticed you're way off, right? And as a leader, I think that that's something that I would do. As someone that wants to draw the impact of the emotion right now, and then on the other flip side, you post it on social media afterwards. It's like, okay, how much of that is content, or how much of that is fucking real? Because as a leader, which at this level where you are, where I am, where these other people are, dude, you have to do it like the right way.
There's a tactful way.
Yeah, dude.
I will tell. So on this subject, this is very interesting. I always bring him up because he's a personal friend and mentor, but I also just think he's amazing at everything he does. Right? He's still a flawed human being, but he's top tier. Ed Milet does that, but in a way where it doesn't call someone out. He's like, hey, and by the way, in the middle of him just talking, he'll be like, hey, by the way, if you're here and you're literally on your phone as I'm talking, I'm worth almost 1 billion on paper, right? So maybe it would behoove you to take some notes and not be on your phone. I'm just saying. And then he goes right back into his speech. He doesn't call a person out, right, but they know who they are, and he gets a point across. But it doesn't make them feel like, like called out.
But again, and you're 100% right. Ed Milet is at a position in his life
way different.
He doesn't have to fucking assert himself to nobody.
Right.
You know? I can't tell you how many nights we've laid in bed, and her outlet is social media. Like she like watching videos of it, and I'll listen to an Audible or find a good series, like Billions I love, and I'll drink a scotch, and that's kind of my unwind. And then we'll talk business, and so like there is no off switch because like we haven't earned it yet. Do you have days? I think you should have days. But it's so hard because like when they say a habit creates 21 days, or a habit forms over 21 days. Well, over 10 years of doing like go, like if you did anything different, it almost like throw a ripple in that thing. And so it's challenging.
Sure.
Because you might disagree with me 110%, which is great.
Right.
But, you know what I mean?
Well, yeah, who am I to tell you, like, if it's working for you guys and you're both actually internally happy,
Fuck if I know
I'm not. Then I would say, so my only. Well, my only feedback would be there's different types of wealth, and I personally, I want to achieve financial freedom, independent wealth, like within my soul, and a connection to God, and a connection with her as well. Like I feel just as wealthy. If I have a big fucking check, or a client that is just like super happy, or we end up doing a big case with a big high net worth client, same feeling there in my soul, that if like, we get dressed up, she looks amazing, she feels really good, we have a good date night, and she gives me a big hug. Like, it's the same like feeling of like wealth, of like, man, I love my life. So for me, it's like the connection with her is the same, it's in the same loop as like physical freedom, which is like taking charge of my body and not being a fat ass, right? Making money. It's all the same wins. And I think that it just, that's for me, that's what it is. It's like, I got to have all those areas. Otherwise, you can ask her. Something feels off if I don't work out, or she'll bring it up. She's like, hey, we kind of feel distant. We've been working a lot. I'm like, you know what, you're right. Because that is a level of wealth that, look, if you're going to bring kids into the world and get married and all these things, like that, in my opinion, I give just as much soul. I want to give just as much soul as that as I do the business. Now, from a financial aspect, and she knows this too, it's balance. She knows that the estate and the marriage and the emotional intelligence and the kids and them being brought up to know what money is and manage money and be good stewards of money, all that stuff is because of the business.
Yeah,
so we don't ever, it's like a balance.
Like,
you know what I mean?
Always said, like, yeah, it really sucks when we head to the kids' baseball game and someone calls and I have to turn around. You know what I mean, right?
Yeah.
You know, Dad can't go or it's not there or whatever. It's like, okay, but what have we been able to get because of this? Like, okay, the 10% that sucks really sucks, but the 90%
what's the offset?
Really good. You know what I mean? So then you have to offset that 90% of good with your business.
Yeah.
Does it funnel over into your family? Like, you know.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I was going to say. I think it's balance within reason because, like, the idea of, well, you hit on something like we just had our New Year's party at Coach Bert's Lodge. So he invites all of his top mentorees inside, and he brings in their wives, and you have a great night. And there is that April's dressed up, everything looks good. We're having a great night. We're celebrating what we achieved this year and going on to next year. But I bet you those nights happen for us where we disconnect and enjoy the moment and we appreciate everything we have. We have like a moment like the sex is great that night and like things are just hitting off, and April will get a little boozy, which you know she never drinks, you know, and so but that happens like once every 5 to 6 months and you love it, but it's not like a hey, it's date night this month, we need to go, because that's like a different aspect of it too, is like you don't want to turn it into something where it isn't magical. Because you brought up something in my head. I'm like, damn, I can think of magical moments throughout the year, but they're spontaneous as fuck or they're planned. Right. And you look at it and you're like, damn, we've achieved a lot.
I don't think there's anything wrong with either one of those. I think it's like,
everything's about perspective. You know what I mean? It's like that works for you because that fits your lifestyle. Like you know what I mean? Like
no, listen, I get that. Where I definitely get that I'm the disconnect here because we have a super good relationship.
But there's nothing wrong with that though. I don't look at you and think, man, that guy's really fucking unhappy in his marriage.
Like, no, you're just like, I get why you guys were kicked out of the marriage. And then April was here, she was saying the same thing. You know what I mean? And that's where it's like, it's so weird that like, and then after 10 years, you kind of ingrain the same. Goals and the habits to achieve those goals. So it's like if I'm in bed past 7 and she's like, what the fuck are you doing? Right. I'm like, just one day this month. She's like, get the fuck up, dude. Like, and she'll say those exact words. She's like, you know, she's a fucking goat. But anyway, it's just way different perspective and being comfortable with it. Because here's the other thing too. This is way off, and we'll kind of wrap this up a little bit. But it's everyone's version of success, and I've said this before. Whether it's marriage success, whether it's business success, if you went to school, middle school, and you just loved your teacher, and you went to high school and you loved being taught, and you said, I want to be a fucking teacher, and then you graduate high school and you go to a community college and you graduate that community college and you get a job at the school that you grew up in and you're happy as fuck because those are your goals, that is success.
For sure. And
so those can be jaded because not everyone's version of success has to be my version of your version.
Well, there shouldn't be.
Like for example, like my sister, she has worked at the same job for 13 years, and she's a teacher's aide, and she just loves it. She loves the kids. She works. She's Isabel's teacher. You know what I mean? So it's like, and that's the same thing with me. And I'm always like, you know, I'll text my dad at 1, 2 in the morning, something to do. He's like, not all of us work 7 days a week. Not all of us work 24 hours a day. I'm like, I always forget that. I'm like,
that's right.
It's as entrepreneurs that
be more, whatever.
I think
goes to work. She works where her son goes to school, and after work, she's hangs out with her kids. She's happy with that. She has an apartment, you know, and she's gonna, you know, and it's all about just
perception.
I think entrepreneurs have a very bad habit of thinking that everybody has to be like them. And it's like, oh, if you're not grinding your face off and you're not doing what I chose this, like I'm not going to put that on other people. And guess what? We need employees. We need employees.
And so when you get to that point, and I didn't mean to cut you off. To me, it's always been hiring more people. Because I do get to that point, like one of our head guys, Aaron, I'm just like, bro, you're going home at 6 tonight? He's like, dude, I got here at 7. I'm like, so? I'm like, what the fuck does that mean? But you're taking a day off this week? Like, don't you want to rack in hours this week? And so it's like, why don't we just hire another person? Now that has its own challenges, right? But there is like we chose this, and that's super important. We fucking chose this. They didn't choose this; they chose to work with
for
us.
Actually,
right? And they can also choose to fucking leave. So I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, you're fine. Yeah, and I think everybody's joy comes from different things. Like my dad was he was an entrepreneur. He inherited an 80-year leather business. And so I did kind of grow up around that, but I was so young that I didn't really, there's such a different world in that kind of industry. But like, I was like, oh, well, I never thought about being an entrepreneur. So like my joy came from like, oh, I want to be serving animals because I was a vet tech, or serving people, and then meeting Dave and learning that world. Like I don't know, some people's minds just don't mesh with that. They're just totally comfortable and joyful.
Totally different world.
Working, and there's nothing bad about working at Walmart, but they're okay with working at Walmart. And they're just joyful and they're happy. And I think God has those people.
Yeah.
We would all be the same. Think about a whole world. How many people are in the world? Of
8 billion.
Everybody would kill each other.
Yeah. Nobody would have anybody to work for them because they would all be entrepreneurs.
Everything would be an absolute lie box.
Right.
It would be,
Like the old days.
Well, and here's how I always think in frame of time, and it's funny because I always say time doesn't exist. But if you were to look at the timeline of like your life, so I just say, like, close your eyes and think about you're on your deathbed. Is the path that you're on right now and how you're living your life, are you going to look back at your life and go, you know what, I'm happy about that? And if the answer is yes, then keep doing what you're doing.
Yeah, but I think the problem with that is when 99% of the people out there aren't living.
Well, that's true.
And so that's where when you brought up
right, but that same percentage of people have the ability to change.
Right.
They do.
No, I'm saying in the frame of entrepreneurship. Like if you're grinding your face off and like the way you have your business and your life and your marriage set up, if you're like, hey, I'm going to be happy. If I look back and I'm going to look back at my whole life and I'm going to be happy, then there's nothing wrong with what you're doing at all.
And you just hope, like, all I can do, like, my brain just works a little different. So it's like, you just hope that's real.
Yeah.
But I think that's mostly bullshit. Like, I think there's such a small people that look back on their life and say, I bet you, like, less than 2% look back on their life and say, I am fucking pumped.
But that's what I'm saying is that people should be striving for that.
Yeah.
And if, as an entrepreneur,
what
like,
he's saying is, why is that number so low?
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. But you should be able to. So it's an either way. So okay, let me give you a frame.
Family tree, that should be fun.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like,
the frame is for you, Ryan.
Yeah.
You, if you know right now what you're doing, what you're building, how you're living, all the frameworks that you have in your life, your body, your mind, your soul, your marriage, your business, whatever. If you know when you get to be 92 years old and you're like, shit, I did all that. If you can look back at that in the future, look back and be like, I'm proud of that. That's how you should live. Now, other people, the 99%, should be doing the same thing. Am I really going to be happy with what I'm doing? I'm not really pushing myself. I'm not really creating anything. I have a shit marriage. The problem, like you're saying, most people can't have an honest conversation with themselves.
That's right.
Well, and that's
they just can't do it.
So many people can't have an honest conversation that want to give into them.
Right.
It's like,
they don't want to do the reps.
I'm not really happy with where I'm at, but I don't really want to change it.
Right.
I'd rather sit here and bitch about it and grinding and doing it.
Yep.
That's
like,
why I left the nursing.
It's like everybody has the ability just to go out and just do it. Like my wife's like, just one day she's like, boom, I'm going to go back to school. She's almost 2 years in and loving it. Like I can't get her off the computer. I'm like, you have an open checkbook to go to school if that's what you love.
Yeah.
I'll run the businesses. Like, do whatever.
And I think one of the biggest turning moments for me, because all I can do is look at my scenario, right? Because it's easy to sit here and be like, what are they thinking? One, who the fuck knows? And two, who the fuck cares?
I don't care. Yeah.
I don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
Right? We have a great relationship, but like, let's say our fabulous bartender tonight has a way different life. I don't give a fuck what he does with his life or whatever. But so what I can tell you is, taking from my experience, I heard this, and I can't even tell you who said it. Maybe Tony Robbins, because I used to listen to Tony Robbins just a ton. But I was with Keystone, and I was making probably $300,000 a year, most I ever made in my life at the time. And I heard, when you die, this is the reality. You're loved for one generation, remembered for two, and forgotten after three. That scares the
that's actually my biggest fear.
That's my biggest fear too.
Yeah.
I can't imagine a world where my great grandkids
didn't really know what I did.
Yep. Or people don't remember what we put into the community.
Yep.
They like that scares the fuck out of me. And so that was like, what was your why? It's like, if everything I'm doing is forgotten after 3 generations,
what's the point?
What's the fucking point, dude?
I agree.
Right? It's just like, what? Like,
so on that aspect, that's why I do agree with you.
Put me on medicated. I'm going to smoke weed. Right,
yeah. That's a good point.
Yeah. So anyways, that
no, I agree with you.
Cut.
Yeah.
You can't have that on both podcast bullshit.
I don't give a fuck.
No, I agree with you. I agree with you, and that's why, like, we talk about a lot more than just the money aspect of things, that generational curses, like literally, how can we literally create a university level of education for people, and when I say people, like the youngest generation that exists right now, 6 years old, right? To take control and analyze generational traumas and shit that their parents have passed down from them, that their grandparents passed down, bad habits around money, why they think what they think, why they don't have self-worth, all of these things, so you can literally change the trajectory of all. Now, money is important because it's a tool in that equation, but it's not the only tool. It's emotional certainty, it's emotional maturity, it's taking charge of why we act the way we act. There's so many different layers. So my long-term eventual goal is going to be to create some sort of a system that's a teachable thing that can be implanted into the education system about changing like generational curses and thoughts about being a good steward with money. Money is not a bad thing. Christianity, we're Christians. The Christian culture is extremely bad at demonizing money. That's what the one thing I will tell you about Dave Ramsey. I actually like Ramsey because he talks about, I don't like him for all things. He talks about being a good steward of your money. Like, I get it. Debt is bad to a certain extent because we live in a consumer world. Debt is good when you're talking about using it for creating wealth, so he misses the mark on that. But we need more people actually talking about like God and money, because those two things are actually very well connected. So anyways, end rant.